I hope that you guys were not thinking that this episode of the Hot Highlight was not gonna happen. It's only a day late, but that's the way it goes. So, of course, that means that it is the end of a K-pop week and time for some brand new releases. So we're gonna take a look back, as always, at some of my favorite releases from the previous week and some other songs I think are quite important or that I have something, additional to say. So let's get this week's episode started. What is going on, everybody? My name is Nick from BtoB K-pop, and I want to welcome you back for another episode of the Hot Highlights. Of course, as always, we're taking a look back at the last week in K-pop releases, and like I said, giving you my favorites and talking about some additional songs that I think that are worth mentioning. And this week seemed to focus all on the vocals. It was all about vocals. We had Born to Beat, BtoB, Zion.T, Kyuhyun of Super Junior with a solo release, all of them very, very vocally oriented. Actually, not very, they definitely were the ballad songs focusing on their vocals. So, we're gonna talk about that. Of course, that's very, very exciting for most people. It's not really the most exciting genre for me, but I do appreciate listening to some really, really nice singing voices. I mean, and who doesn't? So, we're gonna get into my top 3, my favorite songs from last week, starting off with BtoB, and of course with this group being a group from Cube, it was really, really difficult for me to not like it just because I'm a little bit biased towards Cube groups because I like what Cube does. Generally speaking, they have never let me down, and this is another song that has not let me down. Now, it is definitely a completely different style than what I really, really like and enjoy and what really gets me excited from the first listen. But that doesn't mean that I don't really enjoy this song. I don't like it. I don't think it's fantastic. Because of course, if I didn't think that, then it wouldn't be in my top 3 favorite songs of the week. And here it is. So BtoB and The Way or Way Home, Way Back Home, whatever it's called, it's difficult. It's not really that hard. My brain just blanked out. But it's a really, really good song. It's a really fantastic story. I love it. It's really actually touching, I guess you can say. And it's fantastic. Of course, they had their song before this was also another vocal ballad kind of song. This one definitely is far more in that, vocal ballad direction than their previous song, I think. And, that's always fantastic. It's a different group. It's different than what they normally do as far as promotion tracks, which is always, really, really exciting. And the one thing that I have to say is that I wasn't expecting this to be an 8-minute long music video, but of course it has to be 8 minutes long, I guess you can say, because it's telling a pretty, in-depth story. And the fact that they were actually able to tell that entire story, the progression from start to finish, basically from the start to the conclusion of that short story in 8 minutes is actually pretty good. And they got across the message and the emotions very, very effectively. So BtoB and The Way Back Home is fantastic. So we're moving on to the second one, which has to be, of course, Zion.T and his song No Makeup. And I think it would be criminal for me to leave out Zion.T for my favorite 3 of the week because there hasn't been a song that I've heard Zion.T in that I haven't liked. Every single song that he has been in as a featured artist or, the main artist, I love it. And Zion.T just has a way with the way he sings and his voice and the lyrics and the music composition and all of it. Just his music is absolutely fantastic. I can't explain why it is. It's just really, really awesome. And it's good. And not only is the song good, it also has a pretty decent message. Message as well. At the very least, just even a little bit is kind of a way of supporting women in not following particularly the social pressures of how they should look in their appearance and stuff like that, which is cool. It's definitely a thing in this day and age that people need to be more aware of, that like, hey man, maybe you don't need to be so self-conscious about what other people think of your appearance. Just be content with the way that you look, and that is perfectly fine. And I do think that in just Western society, Asians, the Korean, culture and stuff like that, where the looks and, plastic surgery and stuff like that is predominant, and, looks are very, very important, that it's nice to see some mainstream artists and stuff like that going out and saying like, hey, maybe that's not the most important thing in life. you know, maybe it is more like your personal happiness and enjoyment of your appearance as opposed to what other people think, which is fantastic. You know, GOT7 did it in the summer. You know, Zion.T's released at least 2 songs, I guess, that are, you know, in a little tiny way, you know, a bit like that, which is fantastic. I like hearing that. I like seeing that. And, you know, more celebrities need to, like, you know, come out and be, you know, champions of that whole, like, you know, advocates for your own, you know, personal image as opposed to, you know, trying to fit into what other people think you should look like. So that's really, really awesome. And we're closing out my top 3 favorite songs of the week, which is a song that is not in any way a ballad track, and that is the song from, I guess, an album. I don't specifically know because the title for the music video was all in Korean, which just makes it really difficult for me because Korean is not a language that I know. But we got to come back from Stephanie with her 3rd song and music video of the year, I believe it is, which is fantastic. She's kind of making a resurgence in her career, which is really, really awesome. And I actually kind of skipped out on watching the first 2 music videos that she released this year, but I checked this one out because there was nothing else that was uploaded that day. And I'm really glad that there was nothing uploaded, because if there had been, then I probably would have missed this, because this was not a song that really grabbed my attention, because Stephanie, who is that? I don't really know. But this song is really, really fantastic. It is really good. And if you take it in the context of the entire album, oh my God, the album is just absolutely stunning for me. And, you know, I'll be doing an album review of that, talking about it a little bit, you know, more in depth on Tuesday, tomorrow. So, you know, you can check that out, or be, you know, look forward to, you know, seeing what I have to say about the album in its entirety. And I will have you know that just like Taeyeon and her, you know, debut album, there are not that many, you know, albums that when I listen to it, it wins me over and makes me an instant, like, it just shoots that person up to the top of my list as far as, you know, groups and performers and idols that I love. And Taeyeon's album did that. This album did that for Stephanie, and that is really, really saying something. So specifically talking about this song, which I'm gonna say the title of it is Top Secret, because it's the same title as the album. And the album, as far as I know, is titled Top Secret. I don't know. We're going to call it Top Secret. But it is really, really fantastic. The first time I listened to it, I wasn't really entirely sure, because it wasn't really, like, when I listen to a song, right, the things that get me really excited are like up-tempo, high energy kind of stuff. That really gets me, you know, amped. Of course it does. It would get anybody amped. But, you know, this song is way, way, way down low tempo, really full of like attitude and like badass attitude, which like doesn't let it break out as far as like aggression and energy and stuff like that. It just really held back mellow, like badass, you know, attitude and sexiness. And, you know, that was really hard for me when I first listened to it to catch on as something that I liked. But the more that I listened, you know, the second time I listened to it, I was like, oh my God, this song is fantastic. Because one, I love how like low key it is. It is really, really low key, low key. It's awesome, right? And then the flow of the song too, where, you know, the verses are really low, nothing really too crazy about those as far as the instrument track and the vocals are concerned. But the building up to the chorus, so it builds up and up and up and up and up, and then it pauses. Basically the music cuts out for maybe a second or two, and then it drops right into a, I guess I'm gonna call it a dubstep break for the chorus, which is fantastic. Just the flow of that, where it goes up, where it just is, it goes, you know, starts off as like it's like a roller coaster. It starts off and you go up, and then you go down, and then you kind of do that, and then you kind of coast, you know, flatten out, and then you go up again, and you go down, and it's really, really awesome. And then you've got the rap verse from Elijah of Teen Top, who brings some energy to the song, which, you know, Stephanie doesn't have the energy in this song in particular, and he brings that contrasting energy in his rap verse, which is also really, really awesome. Just overall, man, the way that the song is constructed and flows is really, really great. And, you know, it took me a second listen to like figure out that I love it, and I love it, and it's been on repeat ever since I first heard it. So those are my 3 favorite songs of the week. You got BtoB, Zion.T, and Stephanie. Not really any big, huge names in K-pop, but, you know, you can only do what you can do with what is released. So we're gonna highlight one more group, and that is gonna be Uniq and their song called Best Friend. And Uniq is a group for me that I feel with every single song that they release, it's a pretty good song, but it's just kind of it falls like kind of short. Like if it were a puzzle, it's missing just one piece to complete the puzzle to make it a really, really fantastic song. Like, it's not a bad song, it just has parts to it that just feel a little off to me, that I'm like, you know what, if you change it up a little bit, then it could be better. I don't know specifically how they could change it up or anything like that, because that's not my, field of expertise. But Uniq is a group that, since their debut, it's been like, this is their third song I think that they've released. Really, consistently solid music. But for me, it's just fallen short of being something that's fantastic and actually kind of impressive. Which, it's not bad. They've got a pretty decent fan base and following, which, I guess goes to show that some things are working, that it's working for them. And maybe they're just not my style in any way. And that's also a possibility. But, Uniq is pretty good for me, but they just kind of fall short of being great. So there you go. That is it for the hot highlight. Those are the groups that I wanted to highlight as my favorites of the week. And then Uniq, which I had a little bit extra to say about on top of my favorites. So there you go. I want to know what your favorite songs of the week were. Put them down in the comment box below so I can check those out if I have not already. Also, follow me on social media. I've got links to those down in the description box below. Click on them, give me a follow. I would really, really appreciate it. So that is going to be it for this episode of the Hot Highlights. As always, I want to thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. I know that it has been a very, very long time since I've uploaded one of these, but with school starting and stuff like that, I've been a little bit busier than I otherwise would have been, and my free time on some of these days that I have off from work has been taken up. Not to mention my work schedule is a bit different, so we've had to work around and figure out